Hey guys, so which interesting video on Wild Rift. So we're back with a Senna updated complete guide. So now Senna, as you guys know, like a patch or two ago, did get buffed in terms of her Q. Basically, they added a 15% slow on her Q, which does scale with AD and AP, but in my opinion, the scaling is negligible, so I'm just going to take it as a 15% slow. But either way, 15% slow is nothing to scoff at. Like, for comparison, something like a Rylai's or a Serelda's Grudge gives a 30% slow, so this is like automatically half of that slow. Now, I have to say that in practice, it doesn't feel like it's like half of a Serelda's slow, but in reality, I guess it is, unless it's bugged or something, but it is a slow, which it is noticeable, but just doesn't feel like 15%. Anyways, because of that, it's obviously made Senna a lot stronger. Having the extra utility on her Q is absolutely amazing, and because of that, in my opinion, Serelda's Grudge and like Frozen Gauntlet shouldn't even be built on Senna anymore. Now, Frozen Gauntlet, because you used to build it for the slow, which kind of does make sense, but now that you have the inbuilt slow, I don't think building Frozen Gauntlet makes any more sense, especially because Frozen Gauntlet scales with base AD, and if you guys don't know, Senna's passive makes it such that her base AD does not scale at all. It just remains at 50 for the entire match, which reduces the value you're getting from Frozen Gauntlet even more. But anyways, as with our other complete guides, refer to the original one to, of course, see her skills and leveling order. And we're going to jump straight into Senna's new build. So now, personally, this is the new build I love to go with Senna. It's a full carry build kind of Senna, which I am going to explain over here. And I built this both when I play Senna as support, which is what you're going to see in the gameplay later, as well as Senna ADC, which I will be doing a future video on. So, obviously, first up we start with the support item, the Spectral Sickle. Now, you want to go for a Spectral Sickle 100% of the time, because as Senna you don't want to last hit minions, assuming you're playing Senna support. So, you never want to take the Relic Shield, even in like bad matchups like the one you're going to see in the gameplay later. You still want to take Spectral Sickle. It's just going to take a bit longer to stack if you have a bad lane matchup, but you still want to take Sickle over taking the Relic Shield. So, first item you go for is the Mana Mune. So Mana Mune obviously gives you AD, gives you mana, and gives you ability haste. Now what you're very interested in is pretty much everything really. Ability haste is great so you can get your Q and your W especially up more quickly. The mana is a big deal because Senna is very mana hungry, so this is going to help you out a lot. And finally, when you evolve it into the Mirror Mana, you get, of course, that on-hit damage, which, of course, does trigger in conjunction with things like your passive, your Q, and also your auto attack. So basically, when you hit that Mirror Mana power spike, you're going to do a lot more damage. And then for your second full item, not counting the support item, for your second full item, you basically have a choice of 3 items. This is what I like to call Senna's stat item slot. So by default, I go for Black Cleaver because Black Cleaver gives you 350 max health, 40 AD, and 20 ability haste. Basically, this is kind of a stat stick kind of item where it gives you a lot of good stats for a low price. Getting this amount of ability haste, attack damage, and max health for this kind of price is amazing. Now the passive, the Rage passive is also really helpful to get additional movement speed whenever you attack, which does kind of combine with Senna's passive, which already gives her movement speed when she attacks. And you also got the Sunder passive, where every time you attack an enemy champion, it reduces their armor by 4% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 6 times from 24%. Now, this passive is useful in a way, but you are almost never going to stack it up to like 6 stacks. Pretty much you normally get to like maybe 4 stacks at most before you have to either run away or the enemy is already dead in the first place. So you probably will never really reach like 6 stacks. But yeah, it's mostly kind of for the stats. So the other 2 item options you have here is, if they have a lot of shielding, you want to go for a Serpent's Fang. Serpent's Fang, of course, gives you the AD, ability haste, armor penetration, as well as, of course, reducing enemy shielding, which is the main point of building Serpent's Fang. The other option you have is Edge of Night. Now, you go for Edge of Night, it gives you health, AD, and a lot less armor pen, but it gives you that spell shield. And you want to go for Edge of Night versus matchups where you have really a lot of, like, skills that are threats. So I have had like matchups where you have like a Blitzcrank support, you have like a a Nautilus in the jungle, and even something like a Ziggs in the mid lane. Like, immuning the Ziggs bomb late game is actually a big deal, so even something like that, kind of, sometimes you do want to build Age of Night. And the third option you have for this slot is your Divine Sunder, and you really only build Divine Sunder if you're into very very tanky teams that you need to take Divine Sunder into. But personally, I almost never go for Divine Sunder because I feel that Black Cleaver gives you a lot better stats for the price, whereas Divine Sunder gives you more of the healing and the tank shredding, which normally I'm not a big fan of anymore, because if I need the tank shredding, I'll go for Giant Slayer instead. Anyways, for your boot enchant, I normally go for the Ionian Boots of Lucidity because cooldown ability haste is really important on Senna, and defensive boots don't really help at all because you're so squishy that if someone gets on top of you, you pretty much get 2-3 shot most of the time. And we don't need Boots of Fury because we already have the Black Cleaver. Of course, if you don't build Black Cleaver, you can go for the Boots of Fury. And because I'm going for a full damage carry kind of build, most of the time I actually like to go for Stasis. Like, if there's any Assassin, I go for Stasis. If there's any backline Diver, I go for Stasis. If there is, any one of those, like, Stasis champions, like Camille, like Fizz, like Zed, I definitely go for Stasis. But if for some reason the enemy team has like no assassins, no backline divers, and nothing that you need to build stasis for, then you can go for the Protect enchant. Now, for your third item, you go for Runan's Hurricane. Now, why Runan's Hurricane? Well, Runan's Hurricane has a really nice interaction with Senna, where your Runan's Hurricane applies your mist onto everyone that you hit, and it also can collect mist from everyone that you hit. So this increases your damage tremendously. So, aside from that, gives you crit and attack speed. Yep, kind of useful, but you're mainly getting it for the passive. And for a last item, you do have quite a number of options. So the first option you have is Rapid Fire Cannon, which again gives you crit and attack speed, but what we really want here is the Energized Passive, which is the increased range. And because you're late game Senna at this point, the extra range, like one auto attack can half health someone, sometimes. So this could come in really handy. The other option you have is going to be Navori Quick Blades, which of course gives you AD, crit, and ability haste. And basically what this gives you is this gives you your Q cooldown back a lot faster in combination with its actual ability to reduce cooldown by 1 second when you attack. And also gives your W cooldown faster to get off more CC more quickly. And finally you have Moral Reminder, which of course gives you the armor penetration, as well as of course giving you the anti-heal. Now, I don't go for Moral Reminder every single match. I kind of just go full damage like this. Mainly because with this kind of build, I'm mainly focused on killing like the carries and not really the tanks. So I don't necessarily always want to go for Moral Reminder. Kind of strange, but yeah, that's what we actually go for. Now, if you reach this full build right here, you want to sell your support items, sell your Spectral Sickle, and get another damage item. So for example, if I have like the Rapid Fire Cannon as my last item, maybe I will sell Spectral Sickle and then I'll buy Navori Quick Blades and hit like 100% crit. Of course, combined with the fact that you have Souls, which gives you crit. So that is pretty much it for Senna's items and all of her alternative items as well. Now we're going to talk about the runes. Now for me, the only way to grow is Kraken Slayer, especially if you're going for a carry-oriented build like this. Kraken Slayer, you can basically do auto Q auto, which cancels the Q animation of Senna and allows you to get a very fast, quick trade combo that's really hard to trade with in lane. Like, just for context, this does more damage than a Draven does in the time it does for you to take this. What am I talking about? In the time it takes for you to do this combo, Draven cannot even out damage you. So that's just how much damage this auto Q auto combo does. So your only other viable option here is going to be the Grasp of the Undying, which is sort of the old runes and I used to go, but at this point it is still okay, but this Kraken Slayer is just way better. Now for the second, for the Domination rune, I like to go for Brutal, because Brutal of course gives you on-hit damage on your auto attacks against enemy champions, and you are of course attacking enemy champions a lot as a marksman style champion, so this gives you a lot of extra damage. Now there are a couple other options you can go, namely Weakness, because Weakness, you now slow on your Q, you root with your W, so Weakness does prop on pretty much two of your bread and butter abilities, so you can help your team increase damage overall. But personally, I think Brutal gives you yourself more damage overall, which is why I go for Brutal. And finally, your last option is Giant Slayer. If the enemy team has like 2 to 3 tanky champions that need to be shredded, Giant Slayer is going to come in more handy than Brutal, especially when you're fighting against those champions, so I like to go for Giant Slayer. And of course, for the Resolve rune, generally I go for Bone Plating, because Bone Plating is really strong now to block the incoming spells that are being launched at you. But of course, other runes like Hunter Titan and Nullifying Orb are also options. And for the last Inspiration rune, I like to go for Hunter Genius for even more ability haste. You can of course go for something like Nimbus Cloak as well. And for the spells, because you're playing in support, so spells, if you're a support or ADC, if you're ADC, you definitely want to go for Exhaust. If you're support, you can go for Exhaust, or you can go for Heal, of course, because you are the support, so you do want to help out your team or your ADC with the heal. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now we're going to jump into the gameplay. Alright, so here we have the gameplay now, as usual for all of our updated complete guides. Gonna remind you guys to, of course, like, comment, and subscribe if you guys have not done so already, and if you guys, of course, enjoyed this video. Any questions, queries, remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will, of course, be responding to them. Now, really quickly, this is in Legendary Ranked, as you guys can see. So normally, I tell you guys I pick Senna when I have like a good team comp suitable for like having Senna as an ADC. But in this particular match, as you guys can see up here, I picked Senna second before I even saw the rest of my team. And the reason for that is because this is in Legendary Queue. I am not a support main. I literally only have Senna as my open support, and the other 2 supports are autofill, which happen to be like, one of them was like Zoe, because apparently the game thinks Zoe is a support, and yeah, Zoe's not really good as a support, so the game thinks that Zoe is a support, and I'm not gonna pick Zoe as support, so I'm just gonna pick Senna regardless of what my team is. You know, I have to suck it up and kind of hope, possibly ruin my team comp, but it turned out alright in the end because we do have solid frontline with Renekton, Pantheon, and Irelia in the game. So now, here, we're gonna quickly talk about the lane. So you guys can see this is a pretty bad lane. Now, why is this a bad lane for Senna? Because Senna in laning phase, what she wants to do is she wants to walk up, she wants to auto Q auto, as I mentioned, the combo, or minimally auto Q or auto to get her miss stacks. Now, this trading pattern is surprisingly good against tank engagers or against like low range champions, because Senna has the second highest range, same as Ashe, only lower than Caitlyn, so she does outrange majority of ADCs. The issue here is that Ezreal Q has really high range and Karma Q also has really high range, so we're playing against a poke lane. And Senna kind of sucks against poke lanes because she cannot utilize her range advantage to harass enemies. And you guys can see here, when I walk up to auto attack to proc my Spectral Sickle, I get harassed back and I take more damage than ideal. So that's very, very not ideal. Senna actually does really, really well against, like, for example, the past Senna video I did like a week or 2 ago against like I think it was Draven and a tank engager. I forgot who it was. But whatever the case was, is that I outranged Draven, I can get attacks in on him, and I outranged that whatever support he had as well. So I can easily stack up my souls onto the 2 of them, and I can easily also stack up my Spectral Sickle. So that's kind of the ideal laning matchup. But here I have a very, very not ideal laning matchup, and pretty much here I'm just trying to not die in the lane. Now that kind of sounds weird because I'm against like a poke lane, but when I step up, because I can't just do nothing, I have to step up and I have to try to proc stacks of Spectral Sickle, and I have to try to of course get miss stacks as well. And whenever I do that, I'm trading some of my health for that. So here you see I'm gonna like walk up here and I'm gonna attack here. So here I'm trading health for getting stacks. You guys can see here I traded like 3/4 of my health for like 3 stacks of Spectral Sickle and 1 mist. So you guys can see I get ulted by Ezreal. Thankfully I don't die. So my general objective here is when I have health, I want to walk up, I want to trade my health for getting stacks, and then I want to back off so that I don't die. So that's pretty much my main goal. I want to get stacks and I want to not die. Because this is a pretty difficult laning matchup. In fact, I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a spoiler of how this match goes. At 17 minutes in the game, my KD ratio, 0 kills and 3 deaths. A ton of assists though, but I'm gonna show you guys how you can actually carry a Senna without even getting kills. Like, this is a true like support Senna gameplay where I don't even manage to, it's not that I don't want to KS, but I can't even manage to KS my team. I'm not getting any kills. I'm trying my best to secure the kills, but I'm just not getting the kills. So here is a game where I really am pretty goal deprived, in a sense of I'm not getting any kind of kill goal. In fact, I only get a kill a couple of seconds before the match ends. So I pretty much get no kills this whole game. I'm really playing Senna like support Senna, where you don't actually get any kills, like a normal kind of like support, like an enchanter or tank, where you don't want to KS your team. Now when you're Senna, you do want to KS your team because you do want kills, especially because I'm building Senna carry style, but I don't manage to get any kills. So I'm gonna show you guys how the game rated me as like 88.7% better than Senna players. So we do get an A on Senna, almost an S, just like 1.3% away from an S. We do get like an A on Senna without even killing people. So Senna is just really, really strong as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you're doing damage, as long as you know you're farming up your stacks of both your sickle and your miss stacks. Now ADC Senna is a completely different ball game, and I've been playing quite a bit of it. Now here you see when I have an opportunity, I'm gonna stack off of the tower because sickle stacks up the tower. I quickly stack up and I quickly use my E to quickly just run away basically. So I'm gonna cover the ADC Senna in a while. Here we end up getting into an all-in kind of fight. Lucian gets exhausted, Kha'Zix jumps in, Pantheon comes in for the counter gank. Lucian manages to secure the kill onto Karma, and Pantheon manages to secure the kill onto Ezreal, and we have a really, really good fight right you know, in the top lane, as Dragon is already active about 20 seconds ago. Here I control ward the Dragon Pit, of course, to make sure that the enemy team doesn't have any vision inside. Kha'Zix tries to ward the Dragon Pit, but of course, because we have that control ward in, we can easily remove the ward, and we can then easily move on to secure the dragon. Of course, transitioning kills into objectives, really, really important. So here I'm just gonna quickly queue to, of course, collect the stacks, as well as now that we have the tier, using spells in general is useful for just, you know, stacking up our tier. Now here I'm just ulting to help out my team who's at the Herald. They are unfortunately 2v3 and kind of losing the fight. Renekton tries to come in and help them, but Pantheon is already down. Renekton now in trouble as well. And yeah, my team is kind of just all dying around the Herald area. So now, of course, as a support, no, I'm not playing ADC this game, so ADC normally goes back to the top lane and it's a 1v1 between the two ADCs. Normally the two supports rotate to Herald, so that's what I'm kind of doing here, except that my team is kind of not exactly here. So here anyways, Renekton tries to go in on Camille, but gets slowed and cannot really get in range. Here, one of the underrated usages of Q that I see a lot of inexperienced Senna players not doing is simply just using your Q to just heal up your ally. Like, you are a support champion and you do have supportive abilities, namely of course your Q, so you can just simply Q your ally to simply just heal them up. You don't have to necessarily always Q an enemy or something like that. So here, unfortunately though, I do get ulted by the Senna, and I flash right as she ults, and the ult does connect, so I end up flashing inside of her ult, which does basically nothing, and I do just die. This is kind of a difficult match to be a Senna, because they do have a Camille who can easily dive the backline, and they do have a Kha'Zix who can also very easily just assassinate me. So this is kind of a tough matchup for me, but so far I'm 0-1-4. I have the mana immune completed, so of course I'm just stacking it up. Now here I see Pantheon pinging mid lane tower. I know he has Herald, so I'm expecting him to put Herald down in mid lane, which he does. So here I divert myself to mid lane, rush on over, and because of that I end up being able to, number one, proc 2 stacks of Spectral Sickle onto the tower because Pantheon was nearby, and number 2, I also get the local tower goal from the Tower Fallen, which is very, very crucial because you guys know I don't actually get any kills, so getting like tower gold and things like that become very, very crucial. Of course, when you don't get any kills. I mean, even if you do, tower gold is really crucial as well. So being a support and you know, having a little bit more freedom to roam around the map than if I was an ADC, I can easily, like, you know, get myself there and of course get myself that goal. So here, speaking of goal, you can see that I'm at 5,400 gold, which is only like 400 gold behind Lucian, who is at 5,900. Well, it's about 500 gold behind Lucian now, which I think is not bad in terms of the gap between ADC and support gold. Definitely better than the Karma, who's like 1k behind Ezreal. Anyways, here we're just trying to queue through minions to just proc Spectral Sickle as much as we can, basically. As again, we're back in the same situation where we're just getting poked down. Not a lot we can do. We do spot Kha'Zix coming over because of the control ward that's in the river bush. So Irelia actually comes, is pinging that she's coming over, and here she gets cut off by Kale. Here I ult to give Irelia the shield. Unfortunately, she dies. Pantheon comes in though for the cleanup. I hit a crucial root onto the Kha'Zix, preventing him from escaping, and Pantheon picks up a juicy triple kill. Here I'm just rotating over to help out in the fight against Camille, but I realize that I'm never gonna actually catch Camille anyway. So here I'm just helping to clear the mid lane wave and get priority. The Renekton even gets the last hit on the cannon. So here I'm going to go back top. Now I do realize that I'm being spotted by this control ward here, but sometimes, like I say when I create some of those jungle videos, sometimes being spotted doesn't actually matter if the enemy is not in a position to react. And there, I was almost in a position to catch out Ezreal, but unfortunately he did manage to escape. Here again, I'm managing to actually prop my sickle onto the tower, but we get collapsed on by the Karma. And because of that, we have to back off from the tower. And yeah, still struggling to stack the Spectral Sickle. Of course, this is a really hard matchup, and sometimes you do have to, take a bit of an L and not be able to stack the Sickle too quickly. But it's better than dying to stack Sickle. I've seen many instances of like a bit more inexperienced supports, like just walking up to stack their Sickle, and they just get half health, or they even just get one shot because of that. And that's not what you really want to do. Here, Ezreal Qs are of course starting to hurt. He does have the Sheen, so that is obviously the reason why. Now here Kha'Zix comes in for a gank, and here I try to exhaust him and flash downward, but Karma is there, and basically we just, me and the Lucian both just die. And in fact, everybody on my team is dead, with the exception of Renekton. So it's kind of a pretty even game so far. In terms of kills, it's not very even, but in terms of like gold and like towers, etc., it's all really even. So this is a really, close game. Now here, somehow Pantheon manages to steal the dragon just by landing on it with his ulti. I think Kha'Zix probably mistimed the smite there. Either way, Pantheon secures the dragon. Now what Irelia does here is not a very intelligent move. Like, Pantheon is jumping in 1v3, so the best case scenario is he gets the dragon and he gets out. Second best scenario, he gets the dragon and dies, which is what happened. So we don't want Irelia to go in 1v3, in addition to that. Like, that's not necessary. She's not going to kill people 1v3. And now we're kind of stuck in this strange fight where the enemy team is under tower, and Irelia and Renekton are low. Lucian and I have just come over. Lucian manages to destroy the tower, and Kill tries to come in with the ult to clean up, but unfortunately that's not quite enough. I actually managed to hit the root on Karma, preventing her recall, and as we're chasing 1 HP Karma and Ezreal, Kha'Zix comes in. I root him while he's invisible, and here again I root him again to prevent him from really reaching me, at the same time conducting a soul stack. So here I finally have my Spectral Sickle maxed out. I also have my Mirror Mana evolved, and I also have my Black Cleaver. So now at this point, when you get to like Black Cleaver and you have the Mirror Mana fully stacked, this is where you start to be pretty strong and do pretty decent damage. Now in this match, I actually kind of wanted to build the Serpent's Fang because of the Karma shielding especially, but I assumed that the Pantheon would go for Serpent's Fang, because it's quite normal for Pantheon to go for Serpent's Fang in matches that it's good, but he did not, so and we end up not having a Serpent's Fang. By the way, here I do quote unquote steal the red buff from my ADC, but then again I am an ADC myself, but I am playing the support role, so I do kind of end up stealing the red buff from my ADC. But the reason I do that is because I have no idea how good this ADC is, whereas I know what I can do, so I'm just taking the buff so that I can use it to carry my team. But either way, we're in a pretty bad fight. I exhaust the Camille to prevent her from doing too much damage. I root her in, but then of course we do die, and pretty much my whole team just dies because we are all not standing close enough to each other, and we all pretty much end up getting picked up by Kha'Zix because of the isolation, and my team just gets aced, which is of course pretty bad. And you can see that the game starting to swing in the enemy team's favor. Aside from, of course, the dragons that we got, the enemy team now has more gold, more kills, more towers, and it's not looking like the best situation for us. Here, Renekton tries to save the tower, doesn't quite work, gets exhausted, and nothing much can really happen here. So here I see Irelia going to defend the wave, and Kha'Zix is half health. Now, the reason why I'm split from Irelia here is I didn't want to chase the Kha'Zix away, because sometimes Kha'Zix might want to fancy a 1v1 versus the Irelia, and he did not. Now, if he was in that bush there, I had my flash to get over the wall to join the Irelia, so either way I would not have died, I would have been safe. So here you can see, like, we pick up a ton of miss stacks. When you play support, you get a ton of miss stacks pretty easily, and because of that you can hit your miss break points more quickly. Okay, so here the enemy team I think has like 2 meteors, because like 2 people just use meteor back to back. So both Camille and Karma has meteor. It's doing quite a bit of work for them. Kale gets caught but does have her ulti available. Pantheon goes in with the engage, and Camille goes in as well. Not a very wise idea because her team cannot follow up. We get the pick on Camille, and I put control ward onto the Baron just to check if anything's really happening there. We do spot a ward there. Here Kha'Zix manages to get the jump on me, but I do pop the stasis to survive, and I flash out. In the end, my team is able to get another kill onto the Kale, and they're on the chase for more. Here, I'm just using the Q to heal myself up, and I'm also just picking up stacks, more and more stacks, and not really recalling yet. Here, we're gonna get out of mid lane just for that reason. So here we destroy the enemy ward. And here, we have one of the benefits of Senna is having a double ADC comp. So here, because we have Lucian Senna, we can burn down Baron fairly quickly. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to burn down Baron as quickly as possible. Kha'Zix tries to jump in, but he comes in a little bit too early. I think the better move for Kha'Zix there would be to try for a steal instead of just jumping in and trying to kill someone. But either way, we managed to get the kill onto Kha'Zix. Dragon is 14 seconds from spawning. We're going to quickly recall and start building towards the Runan's Hurricane. And then we're going to zoom over to the Dragon. But on the way, we're going to quickly just pick up these stacks. So now Kha'Zix is still dead for another 25 seconds, so this should be a relatively free dragon, and this will give us triple dragon, which is a major win condition. Now at this point we have equalized the goal with the enemy team. We have the Baron buff, and we should have triple dragon in a few moments time. And this now puts us in the driver's seat, so a game can turn really quickly just from a teamfight or two, which I'm sure everybody really kind of just knows. So here I am going to ult across my team to give them the shield, as well as dealing a little bit of damage to the enemy team. Now here my team is pretty much just wiping them out, and the enemy team is facing the issue of getting picked off non-stop. So like, a couple of people get picked off and they are in an odd-numbered fight, and then those people get picked off, and then the people we picked off at the start respawn, and it's still an odd-numbered fight. So this is kind of a solo queue kind of issue that happens, which you do want to try your best to avoid. Now here, I see my Irelia waiting in the bushes, so I'm stepping forward to try to bait them into a fight, but unfortunately they don't take the bait. So what we're going to do instead is we're just going to stand around and let the Baron minions work on the tower. They do indeed get the tower. Irelia finally manages to engage onto Ezreal. Unfortunately though, he does pop the stasis, and he does eventually die. Next to go is Karma. Karma follows suit, and again, now they have the same problem again. They too got picked off, and now Kale and Camille have respawned. There's not much they can do. I finally get my 1 kill there of this match, right before the game pretty much just ends. Yeah, there we go. So there we have the victory. Now you guys can see, Senna can still carry the game even on a low amount of kills, and even with not too much resources, you can still do really well, as you guys can see from all these stats here. So I'm going to leave you guys with these stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.